mean, it was great to get started again and get back out there with our team and learn where we're at, the things we've got to get better at. Quite honestly, that happens whether you're 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2. The process of where we're at, where do we got to get better, and that's a process I live for. I love that, and we saw a lot of things that we've got to get better at, which probably doesn't make it a whole lot unusual from about any other first weekend of any other year I've been around. We had the opportunity to winning both of our matches, and it was a pretty sloppy match against Baylor, but when it was winning time, they were able to make more plays than what we were. And so looking forward to film session and practice that's going on this afternoon. And then, having another weekend here in a few weeks, playing Marquette, great Marquette team. Just had a great win over Kentucky this past weekend, and just watching a little bit of film on them so far. And man, it's they've got a lot of new pieces together, but they're playing well. It's a really talented team. Should be an unbelievable match here in the field house, and then be able to drop a championship banner and give our rings and bring in the former players that have graduated back here in the field house. Should be a special night heading into the match, and then hopefully we'll be able to switch gears, get locked in, and get ready to play a really good Marquette team.
Kelly, it looks like
Let's use the microphone if we can. Just thank you.
Rookie.
Go ahead, Pablo.
just used to the close room. Kelly, it looks like Sarah's really just already getting into the mix. I know she had, I think it was 30 kills in the last match. I mean, just talking about how she's just adapting to this team. Is that exactly what you expected right off the bat?
Yeah, it's she's new here, but she's not new to this level of play or this league or we've seen her play. We've been on the other side of the net, and she's played a lot of matches. And I think it's, for people that haven't been following Michigan State and known too much about her, I mean, she's just one of the unique talents in our sport. And, both matches, it was interesting. Both teams start out serving her, and then she's just diming balls, and then both of them went away for her really quick. She's a kid. You think that you can wear her down, but you can't. She's a pretty strong kid and really athletic, and her arm talent is something special. She's got great vision. She has a lot of different shots, hit to a lot of different depths of the court. I don't know if we've ever had an attacker that gets better quality out of system swings than what she does. So she can take out the garbage as well. So she's a great start, great first weekend, and but she'll be the first to say there's a lot of things she can do to get better.
Mark Stewart, Milwaukee.
Hey, Kelly, you went with play both your setters. Can you just talk about that decision, what went into it, and what did you see in that first weekend?
I think number one, it takes a while, no matter who you are, a team, when you've got a younger setter, a new setter kind of running your offense. So there's always a little transition versus teams or when you have years of returning setters. So there's a little bit of that. We've decided to go with a 6-2, which now you've got connections not just with one setter and each of the hitters, but each of the hitters and two different setters, and that takes time, and that's one of the that's I mean, there's no shortcuts to that, and so but that's what you have the entire season is. It's one of the things about our sport that may be a little bit different from, like, say, a college football. I mean, it's there's some teams in the goals that they have, you lose one game, definitely two, and you've got to take a look at your goals a little bit differently. That's not the case with our sport. It allows for development over time, and it allows for growth, and it's a long season. It's going to take some time to work through the connections, but the possibilities of what we have with the number of arms we have, the physicality that we can bring from the front row and the back court, and then the net presence with our blocking is pretty incredible. We didn't utilize our back row attack the way that we were kind of hoping to as it goes forward, and part of that just with the setters and being able to see where the openings are. But when we did go to the back row, I think we hit close to 600 out of the back row, which is, which there's just no way in the world that's going to continue. First of all, but second of all, I think it probably deserves a little bit more attempts than what we were giving it.
Abby?
Kelly, after this red-white scrimmage, you said Golche was a little nervous, kind of settling in. How have you seen her kind of stabilize and settle into this team since then?
Yeah, I saw she was a boss out there. You know, with her presence, you could see that kid is tough as nails. She lifts the energy of our entire team. You know, moment was you just never know. Although she's played in a lot of volleyball matches, you just don't know when she's coming over here. The one thing she's got to get a little bit better at is her communication with her teammates, and that'll come. I mean, she's been here 10 days, you know, two college matches, and getting on a charter flight, which she's never done before, and then going through the routines that we do. That is really new. So, you know, there was some hesitation stuff a little bit with some of her and her teammates of, is that mine? Is that yours? And, you know, it could be frustrating, I'm sure, for people to watch, or, you know, for coaches to watch in the moment. But those aren't things that when you take a step back that I'm really concerned about. It's to tell you the truth. I mean, we've got to get better at that, yes, but with familiarity and being able to work with the person next to you, those things start smoothing out as you move forward. And so she's I loved her demeanor. I loved how she kind of went about things. Great first weekend she'll just keep getting better.
Zach Hanley? Go ahead first.
Going back to the decision to run a 6-2 offense, first question, is that something you guys are planning on sticking with for the season? And then how often is that an offense that you have gone with? Is that something that, you know, you recently did a couple years ago? How often does UW run a 6-2?
Never done it at Wisconsin. We did it 1 year at Dayton. Did it 1 year, I think, at Albany. It's not something that's utilized very much. I think I think we ran a 5-2 1 year at Dayton as well. It depends on your talent. It's utilizing the talent that you have rather than just kind of sticking with the system and where your strengths are. It's will we stick with it for the entire season? I'm not willing to go there, because then I think what you're saying is. You've done enough up to this point as a player to stay on the court the entire time, and nobody has. I mean, you got to keep developing as a player. You got to keep developing as a team. The practice playing time isn't guaranteed, but on the other hand, we're not expecting perfection after. One of the tough things about our sport versus football is about ready to get started, and you include the time that they had with coaches in the summer and their preseason. By the time they start, it's 10 weeks or something like that they've had to go. Our players have had 2.5 weeks of things. So we're not going to change the system after 1 week, but we'll give it a go for a while. Hopefully, we continue to get better, and but I think our high end as a team this year is a 6-2. I think that is our highest end in that system. It'll be interesting to see it develop, and if that continues to be the best way to roll it out there.
Oh, sorry, I just had one more.
Yeah, go ahead, then pass it to Zach.
Coach, you're such an advocate for growing the game. What does it mean to have Marquette come in here on Friday night, a team that, like you mentioned, just knocked off Kentucky? What does that do for just volleyball in the state of Wisconsin to have two programs like that here in Madison going head to head?
Ryan does a great job with Marquette. It's I think anybody that follows volleyball close, I mean, there's people have a lot of respect for him. What he did at Ohio, what he's done with Marquette, the type of team he brings back every year. You know, the types of players he brings in, whether it's at a high school or transfers, they seem to fit their program. They're very, very competitive. You know, it's you know, I mean, we're trying to raise the level of play in the state all the way through. I mean, you saw, you know, we weren't the only college team that won a national championship in the state of Wisconsin this year, as you know. You know, there's a couple of those, and you know, the club programs are getting better and better, and you know, it's Ryan and I have done a lot of talking about how do we continue to grow the sport and the fan bases, and who knows, we may be playing in this match against each other in a different facility next year that holds even more than what the field house does. So we'll see.
A little foreshadowing. Friday, obviously, you're playing Marquette, and there's a match to play, but before the match, you raised the banner. What do you think that moment or those couple moments before is going to be like for you and your team?
You know, I don't know. I don't know how emotional I'll get, and just knowing myself, because it's you know, my tendency is to, all right, let's get through this as fast as we can. We got a match to play, and you know, I'm probably going to have to calm myself not to tell the PA announcer, speak faster, come on, let's move this, let's go. I mean, given it's you know, being able to be patient with that is something I'll be talking through to myself all the way through, I'm sure. But if it doesn't give you chills seeing a championship banner in, then you probably shouldn't be in the building, right? I mean, a lot went into that. A lot of to be able to celebrate that with your fans who've been along for the ride. I mean, shoot, I just went to Noodles and Company for lunch by myself, and I had 3 different people come up and say, "Tough loss, but man, I'm so fired up about the championship." I mean, you know, it's been months and months, and people are still coming up, and you can't even eat a pad thai without people interrupting you. It's people are excited, and it'll be a special moment. We're so excited the players that have graduated will be able to come back, and you know, we're certainly excited for the debut of Grace Loberg on Big Ten Network, being able to do color commentating right there. So those of you that can't be in the field house, make sure you check out Grace and let her know of all the things she did well and things that she can get better at.
Mark, and then over to Todd.
Kelly, going back to Marquette real quick, for a while there was a time where you know, this series wasn't played a lot, and it seems like the last few years, you know, except for the COVID year, you know, it's become a regular thing. You talked about growing the game in the state. Any other reason that this has become more of a regular thing between these two programs?
Ryan and I had an agreement. He's been wanting to play for years. We said no. He started throwing in a case of spotted cow yearly if we agreed to that, and so that was something that really, you're not buying that, I can tell. So there's no truth to that at all. I'm trying to get as many endorsements as possible, whether from them or the food places. NIL is pretty big with our players. It's just competitive matches every year. You know, it's right down the road. It's good for the state. It's good for their program. It's good for our program. If you know, it's they like to. You know, we're doing it at both places. It's you know, I think it's been a win-win for the fans. It's been win-win for both of our programs.
Todd, go ahead.
Hey, Kelly. The years you've been here, you've seen improvements to the field house, whether it be in seating, in your team facilities. Kind of every year, it seems like there's something happening. And this year, you get the Bucky's balcony, obviously, and the chair back seating. What do those little, big, I guess, additions mean for you as a program in terms of recruiting, but also in terms of making sure your fans are engaged in the ways you want them to be and as much as they can be?
Yeah, I remember back our first couple matches here in 2013, and you had the old scoreboard up there. We had a kind of a dungy locker room that had a urinal in it for our team. Go figure. You had the lights that made noises. You had hundreds of wasp and bees flying around the place. It's hot. As you recall, there's only a couple thousand people in the building, and to have the air conditioning, good lighting, where it's which you do at big events, and this scoreboard and and the locker room that has been really, really important. And seating options for people. That's been certainly something that's been really important, and open up the upper deck. It's, I think I think we're certainly grateful that, that we get to be at a school where the sport is a priority, and it clearly is. I can't imagine there being a school that it's more of a priority than what it is here. They're certainly supporting it at a championship level. And, we hope that the fans certainly appreciate it, because a lot of it has been for them, a lot of these adjustments. And it's, you keep looking for ways to grow. You keep trying to look for ways to give fans better experience. You continue to look for things to give your team better experiences and opportunities. It's been a lot of changes over the last decade.
Kelly, talking about NIL too, I caught up with Devin over the summer, just talking a little bit about her NIL success. In terms of what you've seen over the last give or take year, how do you think it's helped positively improve college volleyball's platform, and what potential do you see for it down the road?
I love the idea of NIL. And I like the direction and the layout that we've had here as a university. I think we've got to get our handle on this. That I think in some other sports it's become something that it was not intended to be, and I don't think we're necessarily in that space yet. But it's a matter of time if there isn't a corralling of what this is, what it's intended to be, stays that way. But what it is with our players, it's been I think it's been really, really good. I mean, we've got quite a few people that have made, I don't know. I think we've got some players that have done better in NIL than I did my first year as a college coach, and I look, it's exciting for them. I seeing themselves as the CEO of their own company, I guess, if they're as their own person, laying out their future, their roadmap, how they want to be perceived. I think it will better prepare them for after college. I think you have a lot of players at times that unfortunately they have this education, they have this diploma, but a lot of times there's players that say, now what? I don't know what to do. What other skills do I have? It's giving them a mindset of seeing into the future, seeing themselves, seeing their brand. They're getting real life experience in managing that and thinking into the future, that I think is a really, really good and valuable exercise for them. There have been no issues as far as I know in the locker room. Very supportive of each other. It's been only positive from what I've seen.
Mark, do you have another one?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Mark.
just real quick, I just want to get your thoughts on Danielle over the weekend, and it looks like she's just playing the first set. Can you talk a little bit about not only her impact in that short time, but how is there a timetable for bringing her along as she comes back from that injury?
I think it went with Danielle. It went as well as it could possibly probably go. It's one set. I think she was hoping that she'd be able to get a little bit more, and which is great. I mean, you'd rather a player wanting more than saying, "Man, I'm no mas." I would anticipate us, her being able to play a little bit more this weekend and continue to build. The one thing that we're not wanting is any setbacks with her. And she's been really, really diligent in her rehab. I think this morning she got a record high on a block touch, which is pretty cool. And, I see a player that's a lot more comfortable out there on the court, not hesitating. Her first couple days back, when there was people around her and in her space, there was a little bit of do I want to get in on this or not? I don't see that at all anymore. So we're excited to keep building with her.